Hi, everyone, and welcome to this month's edition of our Boost Coffee Corner. We're excited to have you here. So we are actually going to talk a little bit about establishing project deliverables and how it ultimately leads to your project success this month. We work with our clients on a regular basis to really hone in and establish deliverables that make a difference in their organization and optimizes what they're doing and elevates the results of their company. So to get us through this conversation today and joining me, I'm Marie Stacks. I'm the president at Boost Midwest, and I am joined today by Rachel and Justin.
I am Rachel Villafane. I am a project coordinator here at Boost Midwest.
And I'm Justin Murdoch, a project analyst at Boost Midwest.
Awesome. And I'm so excited to have this discussion today because I think we have these conversations all the time with our clients. We're always working on getting them to the next big step. So, but to get us started, let's kind of dive into what is a deliverable. So you guys, what is that? How would we share that with our clients?
Well, a deliverable is really any output created as a result of work done during a project. And deliverables must be defined, measurable, and verifiable. And these can be as big as the final outcome of a project or even as small as meeting minutes. But either way, defining, tracking, and managing project deliverables are important responsibilities of being a project manager.
Yeah, and Justin, I love that you kind of talked about a deliverable is like the whole point of the project, but it's also, like you were saying, as small as meeting minutes. And that kind of leads really great into the categories of deliverables. And so there are three. You have your recurring deliverables. That's things like the meeting minutes, right? So they're anything like your status or your budget reports. They occur at regular intervals, and they just kind of help make sure that your project is on track. The second type is your interim deliverables. And so these are things that become inputs for that final deliverable. And the final deliverable is that third and last category, and that's your project's ultimate goal.
All great points, you guys. And I think it is absolutely a wonderful way to explain the kind of the baseline of what we want to talk about today. So to get a little bit further into that, so we've defined the deliverables. What are they? How can we categorize them? But how do we get started? What are the questions to ask ourselves or that we ask our clients even when we're trying to define those deliverables with them?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a two-step process. First, you have to figure out what are your clients' objectives and expectations, and then you also have to figure out what are the specific targets that they hope to achieve. And then for each defined deliverable, you have to ask a couple questions as well. You have to determine what work needs to be completed to meet the deliverable, and you have to build the deliverables into the project contract with an estimated number of hours tied to the development of each deliverable, making sure that they're specific and anticipated properly.
And I think too, you hit on something really interesting, which is the fact that deliverables a lot of times come out of our contracts. They come out of, the statement of work that a client has signed or a grant and the deliverables they've literally proposed in that grant solution. So I think another thing to note would be that these deliverables need to be a part of that initiation and getting started in a project phase. If you look at the phases of a project plan or a project, you've got all the various phases and you always want the deliverables to be up there at the very top. So I think once you get into the kind of planning and execution, even the monitoring phase of projects, there's this ability to very easily get distracted and to get off point. So what are some of the ways that, you can make sure that your deliverables stay at the forefront?
Yeah, I think it's a project manager's job to be making sure that the project activities are aligning with those deliverables. Like every activity should be leading you closer and closer to that final deliverable. And so it's important to be really assessing that as you go to make sure that they're aligning. And if they're not, maybe that's an activity that can be either restructured to make sure that it is aligning, or maybe it's an activity that doesn't need to be occurring.
So true. It's that idea that if you don't have your focal point and everybody faced in the same direction, then you're probably going in a million. So great point. So I think one thing that I know we get questions on a lot is how do we apply the advice that we give in the coffee corner every month? How do we apply that to our own work day to day? So where has having defined deliverables helped us with our current clients? What have you seen helpful in those areas, you guys?
Yeah, and one of the clients that I work closely with on the Titan grant, working with ADHD and ACDS, I've noticed that the recurring deliverables are really helpful in making sure that there's a regular cadence of discussions, which allows for opportunities to discuss questions before they become problems, or making sure that we can have important strategic conversations early on before we really need to be making those decisions. So those regular recurring deliverables are really key to having those discussions.
Yeah, so one of the clients that I work with, we're identifying funding opportunities for them. And so when we started, right, we came up with our deliverables, we outlined the activities that would lead to those deliverables, and then we jumped into the work. And we realized actually that kind of because of the way that their organization is structured, the normal activities weren't actually aligning with the deliverables that we had agreed on. And so the things that we said we were going to do wouldn't actually identify funding opportunities. And so that allowed us to very quickly be able to go back to our client and say, hey, we know that this is what you want us to do. We agreed on these activities here. It's not going to work. We know it's not going to work. We have identified what will work. Let's go ahead and change our agreement to make sure that we're actually doing what you want us to do. So it allowed us to really be able to reach our goal with our client and make sure that we're keeping them happy and doing what they actually want us to do.
That's such a good example too. And I think, we always follow our AIM methodology, that analyze, innovate, and manage. And so Rachel, what you just described is exactly that. Our clients come to us because we will adjust, we will, move things around to make it work. And I think, now that we've implemented our Innovate workshop, that is a part of our AIM methodology and part of, helping our clients improve their operations. Well, the example that I see deliverables having a really strong impact is in that workshop. So we, before the workshop, we have our surveys, we host our interviews with their team members. And then we take what they say their big goals are for the organization, and we go to the workshop and we say, okay, we have these as our goals and our objectives. Here are the deliverables that come with that. And here, let's talk about what the activities are. So that exact same thing that we did with that client, Rachel, we're excitedly doing that with LaTeX right now. And I think ultimately those workshops, having the defined deliverables, makes all the difference in the world, because it keeps the conversation on point, to Justin's kind of comment earlier. It keeps us focused on what matters. It removes the distractions out of the way. So that workshop ends up taking all of this into account that we've talked about today and puts it into actionable and sustainable solutions and steps for our clients. So I know I'm having a lot of fun with those calls, and I know it'll be a lot of fun to continue to do that with all of our clients. So awesome. All right. Well, thanks guys. This is such a fun conversation every month that we get to have. If anyone watching has questions that they want us to address in some of our conversations each month, send them our way. And if you're interested in having our team help you with establishing deliverables or getting your project off the ground, or even just closing it out, give us a call and get on our schedules. We're always happy to meet new faces and work with new clients anywhere in the world. So